Hi everyone, I'm Federico Taddei, and this is the podcast episode for the DCCR 2023 class. My chosen keyword is generational war. Do you ever feel that sensation when watching your parents or some people over 40 years old of thinking, what are you saying? Are you serious? And then a sort of anger, revenge sentiment comes up to you, and you can sort of feel this emotion running through your veins. Well, this happened to me some weeks ago during the dinner with my family and some friends of ours. Every time they start talking how easy and good the life was when they were younger, or how hard it was to find a good job, despite they didn't have finished their studies maybe, and now how easy it is for us to study, to get a job, to travel, etc. I had a stroke every time. And the best and funny part for me was that every time I pointed out some errors or bias, they came up with an excuse or belittle our problem. This is a perfect example of generational war, and this is what we are going to talk in this episode of Jolly Roger. So let's start with order. What is a generation? The demographic approach says that is etymologically based from the Latin verb generare, which means to generate. It's also historically established, like Edmund and Turner in 2005 Global Generation Social Change in the 20th Century said, but there are some problems with this interpretation, like for example it's conventionalized, one size fits all, and there are also segmentation which is not fixed. But the problem of generation is a matter of time that cannot be experienced in purely objective terms, like Corsen writes in 1999 in The Time of Generations. The term generation also is a culturally and sociologically constructed label used by people to perform a series of speech acts. For example, take and give blame is more simple when we recognize ourselves like a unicum body, like a community with the same traits or the same characteristic. Is the good old us versus them dichotomy. In our new digital era, we can approach this conflict by analyzing the memes. Everybody knows the meme of Karen, OK Boomer, or the Winnie the Pooh not able to read a paper. So there is a collaborative content which also can be linked to a generational grammar, a linguo that is only understandable by people of one particular generation, for example. And it also requires a shared cultural and or social environment. The zeitgeist. Nowadays is a common language which refers to a schema of fashions or fads that prescribes what is considered to be acceptable or tasteful for an era. But it was derived from a philosophical term like Herder, Goethe, and especially Hegel, which indicates the predominant social and cultural environment. Professor Alessandro Gandini wrote in Zeitgeist Nostalgia in 2020 that nostalgia is the zeitgeist of the 21st century. I think it's true, but not only for the 21st century. We have plenty of examples in previous centuries in which older generation critiques the younger one, or in which the younger are in conflict with the older. We can see them in Aristophanes' The Clouds, or also Sallustio, Bellum Jugurthinum, and De Coniurazione Catiline Incipit. For Latins, Mos Mores and Mos Maiorum were very important, and to keep respect their tradition and their link to the past. This sentiment of nostalgia can be found also in social networks, especially on those platforms where the so-called boomer generation is the majority of people. In fact, by October 2022, 35.4% of female between 45 and 64 and 36% of male users between this age said that Facebook was their favorite social network by the GWE report of 2022.
Okay, Boomer.
OK Boomer marks also the beginning of generational wars online. In this war, Memes are the privileged weapons used by both parts, but I think that this conflict is a sort of media bubble. I think it's pumped by the media and the echo chambers online. I don't think that this conflict is so cute as it is portrayed by the media. And also in social networks, maybe it seems cute, but in real life, this anger is turned only into personal thought or comment, maybe referring to our parents or relatives. I think that the main trigger is when we shift from being kids to being adults. So we've seen our main reference point turning into simple human beings with their positive and negative aspect. And as we grown up, we feel entitled to comment or argue with them or their position. To conclude, I want you to listen to a poem that I find significant. First of all, because I like it very much, but also because I think it can sum up well this conflict with the older generation, which is a mix of generational rebellion, but also the awareness of becoming an adult. So, finally, this is Dylan Thomas, Do Not Go Gentle in That Good Night, performed by Michael Caine in 2014 movie Interstellar, directed by Christopher Nolan.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end, no dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning they. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.